Alright, everybody. For today's best of episode, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite of the most original games of 2022. Which games wowed me by doing something that somehow I haven't already seen before. Alright, for it could have been a contender award, I'm going to give it to Card Sharks. The poker or card bluffing sleight of hand puzzle simulator of 2022. This was a game where you would spend your time fleecing noblemen and the rich around the countryside using various parlor games and tricks. We did try the demo to it, but the main game, even when it came out, it just kind of fell through the cracks and I did not get a chance to play it, unfortunately. For the honorable mention this time, well, I really don't have any, because when it comes to originality, it can be very hard to spot titles that fall in this category. So if you do have a game that really shook you, or was just such a unique or interesting and original premise, let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll try and give it a check. So with that said, coming in at number 3 is I Was a Teenage Exocolonist. This was a game that I played from the IGF judging. We don't have any footage of me playing it here, but this is a visual novel meets deck builder meets, well, life simulator. You play a colonist in the far distant future, who you, your family, and other people have come to a planet to try and colonize it. And, of course, things are going to go horribly wrong or right, depending upon what you do in it. I love the aesthetic of this game, and part of the charm of it is that your deck evolves based on your choices, what kind of jobs or professions you go after, and these in turn will affect how you take on different challenges. There is a lot to this game. It very much falls in that line of the choose your own adventure. Every single time you play it, you can go in a completely different direction and get an original story. And I can't even begin to fathom just how many hours it will take for someone to, well, try and do 100% of it. The game definitely hints that replayability and learning from previous runs is a major point of it. The main issue that I have with this game is that at the end of the day, it's still a visual novel experience. And you want to be spending a lot of your days or months of in-game time just walking to a spot, doing a job, and kind of waiting for the next story beat or gameplay element to introduce itself. But if you do like choose your own adventure style games, and that kind of, again, the idea of really letting yourself explore all these different avenues of storytelling, I highly recommend you check this one out. For number 2 of Best Original Game, I'm going to give it to The Last Command. This is a kind of action snake game where you play a program in the far future once again, but this time everyone has been digitized. And you are trying to figure out why something is going wrong, why our program is being erased, and why you have to do a lot of dodge-em-ups in this one. So at the core of Last Command, it's this kind of snake-style gameplay loop, as you need to move around on the map collecting these various bits of files, which will then allow you to turn into bullets to attack the enemy. Every enemy is made up of many different phases of attacks with their own patterns, rules, and so on. While there is a progression of unlocking different powers or different passives, it is kept relatively benign. This is not a game that's going to give you a full-on kind of deck building or customization aspect to it. Now, what kind of hurt the game for me is that the controls definitely got in the way as you got further in. And it started to introduce things that I didn't really like, especially with kind of how the game controlled. There are certain places where you'll have to make use of heavy, rapid movements, which if you don't use the gamepad can be very hard. But then it introduces battles where if you don't stand perfectly still, the enemy is going to hit you, which if your analog stick has dead zone issues or using a keyboard and mouse, can be a little bit harder. And I wish the game had a better job of rebinding keys. And make no mistake, if you're trying to play The Last Command on the higher difficulties, it is certainly a challenge. But if you're looking for a very different take on kind of action dodging design, I would recommend checking out The Last Command. As an interesting, or I guess I should say original twist for this year, the one game that I wanted to give it to, which I did do some judging for, sadly is not out. It is only available in prologue form, but I can guarantee you when it's released next year, it is going to probably take home this category in a heartbeat. And time is certainly a factor on that one, which may give you a clue as to what that game is. But for this year, for most original game or best original game, I'm going to give it to The Curse of the Golden Idol. The idea of playing these kinds of investigation mystery style games definitely intrigues me. I really enjoyed stuff like Return of the Obra Dinn, despite being very bad at it. And The Curse of the Golden Idol continues this. If you missed our review, you play as someone who is trying to solve a series of vignettes that all involve a mysterious society, a golden idol, and lots of murder. Your mission is to figure out the who, what, when, where, and why of each case, using clues that you uncover and putting them together in almost like a Mad Libs kind of format. But there is a correct way to play it. This game is not going to be for the casual player. Some of the later cases, I think I made it to maybe case 7 or 8, certainly requires a lot of critical thinking and deductive reasoning if you want to get through it. And this is, again, one of those games that it really doesn't play like anything else. Even something like Return of the Obra Dinn had its own unique style to it. While this game may not be as easy of a recommendation for everyone, if you like a mystery-style game and one that gives you certainly a lot of time spent just trying to put it all together, then this is certainly a great one for you. So, with that said, we're going to wrap up for Best Original Game of 2022. Again, let me know what are some of your picks down below. Do the liking, subscribing as well. Be sure to visit the Discord and Patreon. And come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where some of the art and science of games. And I will see you all for the next category.